Maddie, how old are you?
Hi there, I'm 26.
Okay, and you're pro-choice.
Yep.
Andy, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Why are you pro-choice?
Yeah, I'm pro choice because we've seen the ramifications of total abortion bans before, and they have widespread negative effects on society at large.
Like what?
Okay, so I have four great examples. So we have Romania under UNESCO, we have El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Ireland, and I can talk about each case example and how it affected society.
Sure.
Yeah, so in Romania, between 1966 to 1989, Nicolae Ceaușescu implemented a near-total abortion ban to boost population growth and for moral reasons, i.e. religious reasons. This led to a significant rise in maternal mortality, with rates peaking at 169 deaths per 100,000 live births. An estimated 87% of these deaths were due to unsafe abortions. The policy also resulted in overcrowded orphanages and widespread child neglect.
Hold on, back up. Can you repeat that fact that you said about the 80% of it or something like that?
Yeah, so 87% of these. Oh, sorry. Do I have to use TikTok language? I don't want to get you guys in trouble.
No, you're fine. I just didn't catch it.
Yeah. So 87% of these deaths were due to unsafe abortions and unsafe prenatal care.
So you're saying 87% of the rise in deaths were due to unsafe abortions that happened anyway, even though abortion was banned? That doesn't sound like it was due to the abortion ban. That sounds like it was due to people getting the abortions anyway.
Yeah, and due to unsafe neonatal care.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that wouldn't have anything to do with the abortion bans. That would have to do with people getting the abortions anyway, or perhaps lack of care after the child was born. Doesn't sound related to the abortion ban at all.
Well, the thing is, so there's two answers to that. The first one is that regardless of whether or not abortion is legal, women are going to seek it out, right? And this is going to result in unsafe practices. The second thing is that when you do total abortion bans, this includes abortions that relate to necessary medical reasons. And so a lot of women were seeking them out due to things like uterine infections, right? Where if they didn't get the fetus removed, they were going to die.
Okay, so one, I don't accept that. You would have to show some kind of proof to that. And two, the statistics that you just presented don't have anything to do with what you're saying now.
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying that when abortion is banned, women who need them for medical necessity can't get them. That has nothing to do with the stats that you just provided. That would be something completely different. So, I mean, if you want to provide stats on that. Yeah, because you said that 87% of the rise in maternal mortality was due to women getting abortions anyway, that it was illegal and they went and got them anyway. You didn't say it had anything to do with them needing the abortion for medical necessity and them not being able to get it. Now, we do know that, at least in the United States, and this is what I would advocate for, that even where in states that have the strictest abortion laws, medical necessity is still allowed. And I wouldn't be in favor of anything that doesn't allow for medically necessary terminations.
Well, unfortunately, there have been women in the US who have been critically unwell and have been denied abortions up until the last minute or have passed away.
Okay,
right?
Can you give me an example of a woman who died because she couldn't get an abortion?
Let me Google it real quick.
Sure.
I mean, you guys have heard of these cases, right?
No, I haven't. That's why I'm asking you to show me one. I've heard of people on the pro-choice side trying to say that this happens, but every time they bring up a case that supposedly fits this narrative, it actually wasn't the case at all. We come to learn when we actually dig into it.
Here we go. So there was a woman in Texas called Jocelyn who died at a hospital because she was denied her medically necessary abortion when she was going through.
Let's look at it. What's her name?
Her name was Jocelyn. Let me get her surname so we can be more specific.
Yep.
Jocelyn Barnica.
Jocelyn Barnica. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go through this case. So show me where the pro-life law in Texas did not allow for her to have an abortion.
Well, she was actively miscarrying, and the doctors were not allowed to give her an abortion because they were afraid of Texas's very, very strict abortion bans. And
what does Texas's abortion ban say?
It's strict. It's comprehensive. Let me get it.
What does it say?
1 second. Oh man, I'm reading through a big document here. I will take note to add this to my document next time I get asked.
Sure.
Oh man, I don't want to slow down the pace.
No, it's fine. And so we're here to learn, right? So if this is a case of a woman who needed an abortion and wasn't able to get it because of the law, let's talk about it. If it takes us some time to look into it, that's fine. We are here to be educated just as much as I hope you are here to be educated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, real quick though, so earlier on I brought up the fact that even when abortions are banned, women still always seek them out.
Well, hold on, let's
Right.
not pivot to something else. Let's get this cleared up first.
Yeah. Well, okay. So today in Texas, hospitals still have no clear standard of care for miscarriage management, despite the fact that miscarriages are incredibly common.
I
in
thought we were
abortion
reading
care.
through the law to see where this didn't
So
allow
part of
for
the
it.
issue with this, right, and this is my understanding, and if I'm wrong, please tell me, but part of my understanding for this, right, is that currently in Texas, right, doctors are highly, highly discouraged from providing abortions to their patients because the abortion ban law has been written in a vague way, and they can be prosecuted for providing abortive care, right? And so
Well,
it
that's what you're
creates a
saying, but I'm
situation-
asking you to show me in the law where it says that.
All right.
I mean, I could show you in the law where it actually provides the exception for it.
I would
Section
love to hear that.
171.205, it says exception for medical emergencies. It says sections 171.203 and 171.204 do not apply, which is the part where it's banned, do not apply if a physician believes a medical emergency exists that prevents compliance with this subchapter. A physician who performs or induces an abortion under circumstances described in subsection A shall make written notations in the pregnant woman's medical record of the physician's belief that a medical emergency necessitated the abortion and the medical condition of the pregnant woman that prevented compliance with this subchapter. So, I mean, it flat out says in the law that if it's medically necessary, they are allowed to perform this.
Okay.
So that wouldn't be the case like with this woman, whether she was or was not denied an abortion, really would have nothing to do with the law itself, because the law itself does provide for it. It does allow for that.
I guess what I'm guessing.
Now, I will agree with you. I will agree with you that there are, I think there's like 5 cases of women who actually did need abortions and were denied abortions. And I don't know if all of them died or if some of them just suffered
not all of them died.
major
Some
health
of them-
complications. But I think there's 5 women who are suing the hospitals, not Texas, but the hospitals for malpractice. So I would agree with you that there are a couple cases of malpractice, but they're not in relation to the law itself, because the law does allow for it.
Okay, great. Now, returning to my previous point, right, about, because earlier on I mentioned that regardless of whether or not abortion is legal, women are going to seek it out. And you kind of rejected that point out of hand.
Oh no,
and
I
I'd like to know
agree
why.
with that. I agree with that, but we can like look into that. Sure.
Okay,
What?
so knowing that this is going to happen, and we have consistent, reliable evidence that this is going to happen and that women are going to die, what is your response to that?
Well, hold on. What do you mean women are going to die? Because I'll agree with you that women are going to get abortions, whether it's legal or illegal. Some women are still going to do it regardless. Some doctors are still going to perform abortions, whether it's legal or illegal. Now, I guess I could agree with you that in the process of having these illegal abortions performed, some women may suffer consequences from that. Some women may get hurt. Sure, we could even say that some women might die from it.
No, not some, lots will.
Well, I don't know that lots will, but I'll agree with you that some could die from this. But why would we then say, okay, well, since you are going to take this action to kill your child and you might get hurt in the process, let's just make it legal for you to kill your child so that you don't get hurt. Why would we do that?
Right. So the way I see this is as a trolley car problem, right? So we have 2 negative consequences, okay? On the one hand, we have the safe, morally dubious termination of a fertilized egg. On the other side of the spectrum, we have widespread social decay, right? Because when women...
No, not right. You're going to have to show how we have widespread social decay.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have women dying because they need access to abortive care and they can't get it. And when you have orphanages full to bursting with children
We don't
that
even have
cannot be
orphanages
fed,
in this country, so I don't know what you're talking about.
well, okay, but regardless, you're going to have children that need homes and there are not going to be enough homes,
We
right?
have over 2 million people right now currently vetted, approved, and waiting to adopt newborn children. So
Yeah,
try
okay.
again.
And how many abortions happen every year in the US?
Roughly a
Or
million,
used
maybe a little
to.
more.
Yeah, right, 1 million, right? So in 2
Okay.
years, everyone who's on a waiting list for a child is going to get one.
Well,
All
no,
right.
so
And then
a
what?
couple issues with that. One, that's presupposing that there won't be new people added to the list each year, and two, we do know from the Turnaway
Millions
study.
every year?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I do know the
Hold on.
Turnaway study.
Hold on.
I have it here.
Great. Then you know that per the Turnaway study, 96% of women who are denied abortions end up choosing to keep their child, raise the child, not give it up for adoption, keep it and raise it on their own, and then within 5 years go on to wish that they never sought the abortion in the first place. So it wouldn't be 1 million people per year. It would only be like 4% of that.
Actually, in the Turnaway study, they found that there was a lot of regret with women who had the child who didn't want it, but also the economic consequences of having
Wait, hold
unwanted
on.
children.
What regret?
So women
regret
who were
would there
denied
have been for
abortions were
women?
4 times more likely to live below the federal poverty level. They
Wait, that
experienced
has nothing to do with what you just said. That has nothing to do with what you just said or the question that I asked from what you said. You said that women who were denied abortion had a lot of regret. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree. The regret that
absolutely.
they had was that they ever sought abortion in the first place. Now, if you think the regret was something else, I'm wondering what that is.
They regret having the children.
They regret having the children. They didn't make the choice to have the child. They weren't able to access the abortion. That wouldn't be a regret of theirs.
Which part of the Turnaway study are you quoting here, real quick?
I'd have to pull it up. I mean, it's a long study.
Yeah. Just because, this is an aspect of the Turnaway study that I've not heard before.
Yeah, I would agree. This part is not well publicized because the Turnaway study, by and large, was a pro-choice study. And I agree that there are a lot of pro-choice conclusions that came out of the Turnaway study. But there are other things that don't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just wondering, like, if there was regret,
where this stat comes
if there was
from in the
regret
Turnaway
from these
study.
women, if there was regret from these women who were denied abortion access, what was the regret? They did what they could to get the abortions and they were denied.
The regret was that they had the children because the consequences for having the children were overwhelming. So what we had,
They regretted having the children. So what did they wish they did instead?
they wished that they could have terminated the pregnancy.
Yes, and they wanted to do that. So it wouldn't be regret. That doesn't even make any sense.
What do you mean? They regret that they had the child.
That doesn't even make any sense. They regret that they had the child. They regret that they didn't get the abortion. No, they tried to get the abortion. They were denied.
Yes.
That wouldn't be regret.
Okay, sure. They're unhappy that they had to have the child.
I mean, perhaps that's the case. We could, I guess, look into that. But my understanding from the Turnaway study is that actually 96% of women who were denied abortions, again, chose to raise the child on their own, and within 5 years wish they never sought out the abortion in the first place.
Okay, I would like to, can you please tell me what part of the study that's from? I would like to see it for myself because I have it here.
I'm looking it up, Maddie.
Thank you. So just to point out real quick, so the consequences for the women who have the unplanned pregnancies are multifaceted. So we have, first of all, we have economic consequences, we have physical health risks, we have impact on existing or future children, and we have relationship dynamics, right? And we find that the women who have these unwanted children, they suffer greatly in all of these areas. So I covered the economic consequences. They're more likely to live below the poverty level and never recover from that. Health risks.
Yeah, but all of this stuff applies to women who have born children too. Should they be allowed to kill their born children?
Sorry?
Should women be allowed to kill their born children for economic reasons?
No, no one is
Then
seriously.
why should I care that? Then why should I care that women who couldn't abort their children and kill them before they were born live below the poverty line? If you don't care that after they're born they live below the poverty line,
Because a 6-week-old zygote is not the same as a living, breathing child, and I think
I don't know what a 6-week-old zygote is, but That's the key difference here. It's not that you think these economic reasons are the justification for killing the child. It's because you don't view the child in utero the same as the child after it's born. So we could focus on the actual reasons why you think abortion should be allowed and not just the reasons that somebody might want to do it.
I mean, I can believe two things at the same time, right? I can believe that the consequences...
No, but you don't. But you don't believe the second part.
Let me finish. Let me respond to what you said.
Sure, go ahead.
I can believe that the consequences, right, of preventing women from having access to abortion are negative, whilst also believing that a fertilized egg is not the same as a child outside of the womb, right? Like, I can believe both of those things in the same sense that you can believe something for multiple reasons.
Except that you don't believe that the economic reasons are justification for having the abortion. Those would be the reasons why somebody would want to do it, but the justification is because you view the child differently. If the justification was the economic reasons, then it wouldn't matter if the child was born or unborn. You would say, if it's an economic issue, then she should be allowed to kill it, regardless.
No, that's a bad faith argument. Obviously, a 5-year-old toddler supersedes the economic impact of its parent. And the thing is, is that we already agree on what the right thing to do is in that circumstance, right? Because the state can remove a child from a household.
Why would the 5-year-old's right to life supersede the economic issues that the parent has?
What? I'm sorry. Are you seriously asking me why a parent shouldn't be allowed to murder?
I'm asking you from your position, why do the economic issues of the parent not outweigh the child's right to life when it's 5?
This is a really intense straw man. I'm sorry.
This isn't a straw man. You just said this. Unless you don't actually believe this, do you believe that the economic issues outweigh the right to life of the 5-year-old?
Yeah, a 5-year-old. Yeah, because a 5-year-old is not the same as a fertilized egg.
I don't think you heard the question that I asked. I said, do you believe that the economic issues of the mother or the parents outweigh the right to life of the 5-year-old child?
No, of course not.
Great. Then it's not a straw man of your position. Why don't they outweigh the right to life of the child?
Of a 5-year-old child? Because it's a 5-year-old child.
Well, that seems rather circular.
The economic conditions of the parent outweigh the rights of a fertilized egg. That is what I am saying.
Why do they outweigh the rights of a fertilized egg, but not of a 5-year-old child?
Because a fertilized egg does not have the same inherent value as a 5-year-old child. And I feel like that's not a difficult, thing to comprehend.
Okay, so to be clear, it has nothing to do with the economic issues that the parents are having. It's solely about not viewing the child before it's born in the same way that you view it after it's born. Again, the economic issues are just the reason that she might want to do it.
No, it's a multifaceted issue in which please let me respond.
Because you're just repeating yourself. You're just repeating yourself. There's no reason for you to repeat it.
This is a bizarre question to ask, right?
Well, you haven't answered it.
What I'm saying is, what my initial assertion was, based on the Turnaway study that you quoted first, right? And I thank you for bringing it into the conversation.
Sure.
Right? My initial assertion was that women who were turned away from abortions, who sought abortions but did not get them, had lifelong negative impacts because of that, because they were not able to control the time at which they had children, right?
Great. And that also applies to women who have born children as well. Again, this has nothing to do with the discussion. No, this has nothing to do with the question that I asked.
Yeah, and I was about to get to the question that you asked.
Okay, then I don't know why you started with that intro. Good, then answer the question I asked.
Because I'm clarifying how it was a non sequitur.
No, this is a non sequitur. What you just said right there, that's a non sequitur. It had nothing to do with the argument or the question that was asked. But go ahead and please answer the question that I asked now.
And then you ask the question, does the economic conditions of the parent give it the right to terminate a living child, like a 5-year-old, right? And
they're both living. I asked about a born child. They're both alive.
Sure. Right? You asked that question, and then I said no, because that is a different situation, right? The circumstances have changed.
Great. So what is it about the born child that doesn't justify killing it due to economic issues?
Because the born child has more inherent value than a fertilized egg.
I'm asking you what about them gives them more inherent value?
Because a fertilized egg is obviously not as valuable. I'm
That's
sorry.
begging
Can
the
you
question.
explain
You didn't
to me-
answer anything.
Okay. Can you explain to me how a fertilized egg has the same inherent value as a 5-year-old?
Why is that going to change your answer on how they don't?
No, I want to know
Okay,
your.
great. Then
I
it
wanna
doesn't
know
matter
your
what my answer is. I
justification.
asked you the question.
I want to know your justification because maybe
Okay,
you can
what,
change
my
my mind.
justification for what? I haven't given you a position.
I would like
I'm
you to
asking
change
you about
my
yours.
mind.
I'm asking you why you don't view them the same. Again, to
I
be
don't
clear,
view-
this shows that it's, again, not about the economic issues being the justification for it. You're saying the justification is because the fertilized egg is viewed differently. It has less inherent value than the born child. The economic issues are just the reason that someone might want to do it. But it's up to you to tell me why they have less value or less moral value before they're born versus after they're born. Please tell me why.
If you can prove to me why a fertilized egg that has been fertilized for 24 hours has the same moral value as a 5-year-old child, then I will change my stance on
Are
abortion.
you telling me that you don't have an answer as to why one is more or less valuable than the other?
I think it's obvious.
If it's obvious, then it should be easy for you to tell me why.
You tell me.
I asked you the
you
question.
have an
This
answer?
isn't burden shifting.
I don't
here.
have an answer. Tell me.
Wait, so you don't have an answer, to be clear?
I don't. Tell me. Explain it to me.
if
Tell
you,
me.
Yeah, sure, we'll get there. If you don't have an answer as to why one is more valuable than the other, then why would I accept your view? Like, why would anyone not just reject your position? You can't
Don't
even tell us
accept
why
it.
one
Now
is
tell me.
more valuable than the other.
Don't accept it. I'm wrong. Now tell me. Tell me why a fertilized egg has the same inherent value as a 5-year-old child.
Sure, there's nothing morally different about the child, no matter what stage of development it's in. It's still a living human organism, regardless. It's more developed at one point than the next, but that doesn't change the ontology or the nature of this being. It's the same entity, regardless of how developed it is.
That doesn't explain to me how they have the same moral value.
Well, you would have to tell me why they don't.
Right. So, hypothetical, okay? You are in a burning building and it's an IVF clinic, all right?
Hold on.
And
Be very
wait,
clear.
wait,
I
let
haven't
me
heard this
finish,
one
let me
before.
finish. No, you need to answer this question, right?
Yeah, no,
So
I will.
you're in-
I will. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
That I
So you're in a
understand.
burning you're in an IVF clinic in a burning building. There's a 5-year-old toddler and an IVF petri dish. Which one are you going to grab?
Hold on. Let me pull up my organization's website where I just wrote an entire article on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to pick the born child.
Why? They have the same inherent value, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Now, to clarify, assuming that neither of them are mine, because if the embryos are mine, I'm going to save those. If the born child's mine, I'm going to save whichever one's mine, whichever one I know, whichever one's my
Are you
friend.
serious?
Oh,
You
absolutely. I would assume that you would save your child over mine as well, regardless of
You would
what stage of
wait,
development it's in.
Sorry, wait. Let me be super clear. Let me be
Oh,
super
sure. Go
clear.
ahead. Yeah.
Burning building, IVF petri dish with your fertilized eggs, 5-year-old child.
100% every time I'm saving mine. I'm saving
would-
my
you
children
would
over somebody
leave the-
else's
you would
every single
leave-
time.
You would leave the living 5-year-old child in the burning building.
100%. 100%. If I have to pick between one of them, I'm saving mine every single time. I'm saving my child over somebody else's child every time.
The argument.
And I would assume that everybody else would as well.
The
I mean, that would just be
argument-
crazy for you
the
not
argument's
to.
over. You have demonstrated that you are totally morally bankrupt. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
how so? Oh, how so?
You are morally bankrupt. You would leave a 5-year-old child
How
to
so?
suffer and to suffer.
Sure. I mean, you're making me choose between my child and somebody else's child. If obviously I'm going to choose my child over somebody else's, no matter how old or how young they are. That would just be crazy for me not to.
I can't have a debate with you. That is the most
really?
morally that's
Really?
the most morally bankrupt thing I've ever heard.
Okay, cool. Sure. So let me ask you a real quick question. Same
That's the
scenario,
most
but in,
morally bankrupt thing I've ever heard. That's
I
disgusting.
mean, you can keep repeating that, but that's just kind of a crazy thing for you to say without any justification. But I have a real quick question for you. Same scenario. There's 2 5-year-old children. Which one are you saving?
What?
There's 2 5-year-old children. Which one are you saving?
I don't know. Is one of them mine?
Sure.
I guess I'm taking my one then.
What? So you're going to let a 5-year-old child just die? That you're morally
I'm sorry.
bankrupt. I can't believe you would
I'm
do that.
sorry, but the situation here is 2 living children versus a petri dish and a living child.
The
Like, I'm
petri
sorry,
dish
that-
has
that
living
whole
children in it.
frequency-
What are you talking about?
It does not. You can't freeze a living child for months on end and then revive it.
All you're doing is asserting that one has less moral value than the other, but you still haven't told me why. You just keep repeating your premise. Just because you say,
can take- so
"Oh,
you can
you're
take
morally
a
bankrupt
fertilized
because you
egg.
didn't choose the one that I chose," Doesn't tell me why. That doesn't tell me why one has more value than
you can
more
take
value
that
than the
petri
other.
dish and you can freeze it for years, for decades, right? And then you can revive it, and then it's a child, right? How is that the same? Do you mistake fertilized eggs for living children often? Is that a thing that happens in your
Well,
day-to-day life?
if they're human fertilized eggs, then they're already children. It wouldn't be mistaking them for children.
Okay, so where does this start, right? So you have a sperm, right? Is that a living child?
No,
Why?
because the nature of the sperm is not to be anything other than a sperm.
Well, it's living.
Sure. It's a
Okay.
living cell. It's not a living
Okay.
organism. It's a living cell.
Well, yeah, the two cells of the egg and the sperm fused is a living cell. It's not an organism yet.
No,
It
that's
takes a
actually,
couple
no,
weeks
that is
for
an
to
organism. At the moment of conception, a new human organism is created. When do you think the organism's created?
I'm still kind of reeling from your assertion that you would save a petri dish over a child.
I mean, that's fine. It's kind of weird that you wouldn't save your children over
I
somebody
wouldn't
else's
save
child.
I wouldn't save a
It's kinda
petri
weird.
dish over a child. Like if my petri dish was there,
I don't know
and a
why you
child
keep
was
saying
there,
over a child. They're both children.
they're not.
Then tell me
They're
why
not.
one is not.
Well, one is a fertilized egg, right? We
At
don't
what point does
call
it become a child?
Well, we start calling it a baby around the third trimester.
I asked you, at what point does it become a child?
I don't know.
Well, if you're
that's a
going to tell me
really
that I'm
hard-
morally bankrupt for
that's a
saving
really-
something that's
that's a
not a
really
child,
hard
then it would be pretty
scientific
important for you to
distinction
tell me
to
when it's a
draw.
child.
I mean, an egg can't suffer, right?
Well, I don't know what you mean by suffering, but so what?
So what? What? So you would prefer suffering to the loss of what you see as your property?
No, that's why if they're complete strangers, I would save the living born child as opposed to the living human embryos. But if it's mine, I'm going to choose mine every time because I have a stronger connection to my child, regardless of how old or how young it is, how developed or underdeveloped it is. It wouldn't make any difference. That's
you
the
would
problem
save
with
your
the burning
petri
building.
dish.
That's the problem with the burning building or the trolley problem. Like you think you're testing some sort of logic here, but you're not. All you're doing is asking me which one I personally value more, which one I have a stronger connection to. It doesn't test the principles of my argument at all.
But I just feel like you're being disingenuous. Like
How so?
because I really struggle, like in that situation, genuinely, honestly, that you would go grab the petri dish. I just don't believe
Yes,
you.
if it's my children in that petri dish, it doesn't matter how old or how young they are. It makes no difference. I'm going to save my child every single time.
I just
If,
don't
if
believe
they're
you.
strangers,
I don't
then
believe you.
I'll probably save the born child.
I think you're making, like, to circumvent my point, but I just don't believe you. I don't believe you would look
No, I
into the eyes.
promise you 100% of the time, if I have to choose between someone who's related to me and a stranger, I'm choosing the person that's related to me every single time.
I don't believe that you would look a 5-year-old child because that would make you evil.
Andy, could I ask her a question?
Well, you're putting me in an impossible scenario. You're like, obviously I'm going to feel bad that the 5-year-old dies, but you're telling me I have to choose between saving my children and saving some other person's children. Obviously I'm going to choose mine every time. I mean, that's just crazy for me, like for you to think otherwise.
Because it's not the same.
Okay, if it's your mom and my 5-year-old child, which one are you saving?
It's a
I'm sorry?
non sequitur. It doesn't correlate with the moral question being,
How is it a non sequitur?
because we're trying to define what the difference is between a fertilized egg and a 5-year-old child, right? If you
Wait,
have
and
two-
how does you asking me which one I'm going to save in a burning building define the difference between the two?
you have two born people, that
Sounds
doesn't-
like your question is a non sequitur because that didn't define the difference between the two at all.
I'm
To be clear, in the medical definition of a child, one of the definitions is an unborn infant or a fetus. Also, another definition is just an offspring, which would apply from conception. It's always your offspring. So yes, from conception, it's a child. But I don't really care what you call it. It makes no difference to me. I just use child because it encompasses all stages of development.
so the thing is, right, is that like you position yourself as pro-life, and the thing that you described was really ugly in my
What do you think it means to be pro-life?
Wait, Andy, can I?
Wait, I
ask
don't
a-
want to like deflector.
Okay, my bad.
Like, what does it mean to be pro-life?
Tell me what it means to be pro-life for you, because I don't understand.
Well, you said that it's an issue, so tell me what your understanding is, and then I'll tell you if you're right or not.
I mean, my understanding of pro-life is to preserve life.
Okay, well then you just have a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be pro-life. Pro-life is simply anti-elective abortion.
Okay.
That's what it means to be pro-life.
So all you care about is the abortion. You don't care about, you don't care about the life of the child.
No, of course not. Of course that's not what all I care about, obviously. In fact, pro-lifers do the most good for women, whether they're pregnant or after birth. Like, there are plenty of examples of that out there. The pregnancy resource centers, there are like, I don't know, what is it, like, I don't remember the last, is like 6 or 7 for every 1 abortion clinic that's out there. Like, we do a ridiculous amount of stuff for women in need. Now, it can and should always be more. But when we're looking at between the two sides, like, we do by far way more for women born pregnant and after pregnancy. So that's just a crazy thing for you to say, that we don't care about women after birth.
No, but I'm just saying that, like, what's pro-life about, hypothetically
I just told you.
leaving a toddler to burn and die because you would rather pick a petri dish because it's yours? Like,
Well, what is your position all about if you'd rather choose your elderly mother than a 5-year-old?
I wouldn't. I didn't answer that
You
question.
wouldn't? Wait, would you choose the 5-year-old over your elderly mother?
I didn't answer the question.
Okay,
right?
so which one would you choose?
No, I'm asking you the question. What's pro-life?
I just told you what pro-life is.
No.
So which one would you choose?
Can you listen to me, please?
I am.
You're
I'm
not.
waiting for your answer. I feel like I answered your question. I don't know why you won't answer mine.
What is pro-life about saying that you would leave a 5-year-old to burn and take a petri dish?
Again, you're giving me 2 options. In either case, there are humans that are dying. In the case that one of those sets of humans is related to me, I'm going to save whichever one is related to me, or whichever one I know. If I don't know either of them and they're both complete strangers, I agree, I'll probably save the born child because I can relate to that a little more. I don't want it to suffer. But regardless, if one of them's mine, I'm saving that one. It says absolutely nothing about the one that I don't save. It doesn't mean that they have less rights or that, I don't know, I don't care about it as much. Like, but I value, or I'm more connected to one versus the other. So that's the one that I'm going to save.
Right, because I would choose the child every single time, even if it was
They're
my
both children. I don't know why you're saying that. That makes no sense.
fertilized egg is not.
That's
a
an
child.
incoherent statement. I'm saying, you're asking me, would you choose child A or child B? And you're saying I would choose the child. They're both children.
Petri dish with fertilized eggs is not a child, and if we cannot agree on that,
Well, I just showed you that they are.
but they're not.
I don't know if you're covering your mic, but it's kind of hard to hear you.
Sorry. I was just charging my phone.
Hey, you're fine.
Like a fertilized egg is not a child.
Cool. So at what point does it become a child? At what point does it hold equal moral value?
I mean, life is a continuous process, right? Like, there isn't a single moment where we snap our fingers and say, okay, it's a child now, right? Like,
Okay,
that's
so if one was a
why-
9-month fetus and the other one was a 2-day-old newborn, which one are you saving?
Sorry, ask the question again.
Yeah, if one of the children, one of the human organisms is a 9-month fetus, so about a full-term fetus right before birth, and the other one is a 2-day-old baby, just after birth, which one are you saving?
What, in a burning building?
Yes.
Is the 9-month
same
fetus,
scenario,
Is the 9-month fetus in the mother's body?
No, it's in like an artificial womb.
I don't know. I guess the one that's slightly older, sure.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, they're basically the same at that point.
Well, exactly. So why are you choosing the one over the other?
Well, I mean, I can't really. Like, they're basically the same. That's like saying, would you choose a 1 month and 1 day old or a 1 month old? Like they're basically the same, right?
Okay.
But a fertilized egg is not the same as a 5-year-old child. right? Like
Okay,
they
so
are radically different things.
Okay, so what if it's only 6 months gestated?
Sure, the slightly older child.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, at that point, we're splitting hairs.
What if it was a 6 month fetus that's in this artificial womb, or 5 men that just got done graping you?
Are you kidding me?
No, which one are you saving?
Are you kidding me?
No, which one are you saving?
I'm pretty sure we can all agree that that is an extremely salacious question.
Cool. Which one are you saving?
The baby.
Are you? Why?
I'm sorry. Like, I don't feel like I have to answer questions where you resort to.
Wait, we're talking about 5 men. Five grown men. They're obviously.
Would you rather say 5 grown men that just finished graping you? Like, that is an extremely salacious question.
You're talking about 5 grown men who are obviously way more developed, way more sentient, are going to suffer a lot more than this one 6-month fetus. Why would you choose the fetus? I think that's morally bankrupt for you to leave 5 grown adults to suffer and die in this burning building. That's morally bankrupt. I can't believe you would say that.
I think it's cheap of you to compare choosing a petri dish over a 5-year-old to me choosing between grapists and a baby. I think it's cheap and salacious for you to do that. And you're trying to
I think it's a pretty easy way to show the hypocrisy in your argument.
No, I think you're trying to aggravate me on purpose. I think
I'm just easily showing the hypocrisy in your argument.
No, because it's a distressing line of questioning. It's obviously a distressing line of questioning. This is disgusting.
I do agree.
And yet it shows the hypocrisy in your own argument.
No, this is a disgusting line of questioning.
Not at all. It should be easy for you to pick.
Because you've picked the most emotionally ravenous thing that you can and said, aha.
Yeah.
Now
do you understand? Are you familiar with reductio ad absurdum?
Explain it to me.
Yeah, I'm taking your logic to its logical conclusion. Taking your reasoning to its logical conclusion. And showing you how your logic doesn't hold true.
Yeah, morality.
I give you an extreme hypothetical to test your logic, and when I do this, it shows that your logic doesn't hold.
Yeah,
you went against your logic.
Hold up. Of course, my logic is not going to hold up in this scenario where you say, "Hey, are you still going to morally stand by gang rapists who have done something reprehensible to you?" Right? Surely we can all agree that this is the kind of argument. This is the line where we throw out an argument like this, and we're like, this doesn't.
Well, why does your logic not hold true here? Why did you contradict your argument?
What?
Why did you contradict your position?
Why did I contradict my position?
Yes. You said that born people hold more value than these unborn children. You told me that it was a really hard thing to answer when I gave you the child right before versus right after. So I gave you a child that's much earlier in the pregnancy and adults who are much later in life.
Yeah,
seems like it would be an easy answer for you, but then you still went against your argument.
Right? Because what you've asked me to do, right, is to remain morally rational in a situation like that. And, moral rationality is very different from philosophical rationality, right? You're asking me to maintain a perfect worldview in a situation where obviously my perspective on things is going to be radically altered by the stimulus. Right. And I think that that's a really unfair line of questioning.
I mean, you could say that it's unfair, but you'd have to tell me why.
Why? Because you just asked a woman.
I understand the question that I asked you. I didn't forget.
You've asked a woman, would she save the lives of her rapists?
Well, according to your logic and your reasoning, they have more rights to life. So I don't know why you wouldn't save them. There's 5 of them. And they're much later in life. So you think that the rapists have more right to life? According to you and your argument, they do. I don't think so, but your argument says that they do. And again, there's 5 of them. So you would leave 5 adults to burn and suffer in this building for one human organism that you don't even think is a child that has the right to life. That doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like this is really cruel.
Which part of it's cruel? Like pointing out the hypocrisy in your argument or what?
No, the part where you're asking me to imagine being gang raped and then saying, aha.
Well, I didn't say that you had to imagine that part.
Let me finish. Don't interrupt me. You said, you know, you're putting me in this position where you're saying, like, imagine being gang raped.
I know I didn't say that at all.
No, let me
I didn't say that part at all. Don't put words in my mouth.
Let me finish speaking.
Well,
right?
don't put words in my mouth and lie about things that I didn't say.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm saying
did.
that this is what you're insinuating, right? In this hypothetical scenario,
Nope,
imagine
I didn't
the worst.
say anything about the act itself.
You're not letting me speak. You're not letting me speak.
My hypothetical started well after the fact.
I'm taking this personally because, like, I'm
because
sorry.
It just
but
blew your whole logic apart.
No.
I would take it personally too, I guess.
No, because, and this is not a place for anecdotes, and I'm not going to explain, but this is painful for me. The allegory that you just brought up is specifically painful for me, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. I mean, that's fine if you don't want to continue the conversation. That's your choice. But your logic falls apart when I ask you these questions. You don't think this 6-month fetus is a person, and yet you're choosing to save that over 5 grown adults.
Grapists.
Sure, 5 grown adults that you're choosing to let burn and suffer in this building versus this thing that you don't even think is a person.
I feel like I don't have to engage in this, and I don't think
you don't have to engage in it. You can leave if you don't want to engage, but these are answers that you're going to, or questions that you're going to have to answer.
Move on from the rapist question.
Well, again, then you would have to admit that your logic is not sound. Sure, we'll change the hypothetical. There are 5 men that just murdered every member of your family versus a 6-month fetus. Which one are you saving?
This is... No.
Wait, are you still choosing the non-person over the 5 grown adults? Okay.
Did the irony though, because I think, and I came in a little late, but wasn't it explained to her that like the burning building thing is just a value question?
Yes.
And that,
I tried to explain that several times, but she was saying that I'm morally bankrupt for choosing my embryos over some random 5-year-old.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so morally bankrupt. I don't even know if I want to continue this conversation."
Yeah. It's pretty understandable that she wouldn't value like the 5 people who did this horrible thing to her. She didn't even see how like her own intuition is aligning with what you were trying to demonstrate. Like that just went over her
Exactly.
head.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Nor.
Obviously, like, I probably would choose the 6-month fetus as well.
True.
Because of the things that the grown adults did. It doesn't mean that they have
pro-lifers
different rights to life, but
Maddie, I got news for you. Meatball's pro-choice, and she agrees with what we're saying. That analogy was not. Go ahead, Meatball.
Yeah, I am a pro-choicer, and it just went over your head completely. That question has nothing to do, like they think that this is a gotcha question. I did too when I first started debating, but it's not, because we value things differently. Like, if it's a burning building and it's my mother or your mother, like both of these are human beings, rights-bearing individuals, but like I value my mother more. So yeah, I'm going to save my mother. So just because like, you know, the pro-lifer would hold the view, like if we have a toddler versus a tray of embryos, just because even if they weren't related to either, they may pick the toddler. Well, you acknowledge that there are like additional types of harm that the toddler would experience that the embryos wouldn't. So this isn't because you don't value the embryos, just because you may value the toddler more for different reasons.
exactly. And I tried to explain that to her when I was answering the question. But I don't think she understood it then, which is why I tried to like turn it back on her and ask her the question in hopes that she would understand it and it would click. But I don't think she got it.
Yeah,
I heard a good like rebuttal to that too from secular pro-life, was like, you give them that, or you tell them, so does that mean that I can intentionally kill the other one?
Yeah, I used to just tell people that I would probably just grab my cell phone or my laptop. Because like it literally doesn't matter what or who you save.
Yeah.
It's not testing any part of our principles.